With the way Dynasty's trending, it may seem like running backs do not matter in Dynasty anymore. That's simply not the case. Even with a short shelf life, you need to have good or elite running backs to help build out a well-rounded roster. So today, let's take a look at Dynasty Startup ADP. We're going to look at one running back in each round that I am targeting because they're either undervalued or they're just a good value altogether. Right now, in DLF's 1QB Startup ADP, there are 4 running backs going in the first round of drafts. It's going to be Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, and Breece Hall. Now, for me, right, obviously, we all want Bijan Robinson, but I think the best value in this round, it's Breece Hall right now at RB4 off the board. In the 4 games, he played more than 50% of snaps. He was a top 15 running back in all 4 games. He was a top 6 running back twice. Breece Hall basically proved he is borderline elite from day one. And while it is a small sample, for him to come in as a rookie, right, at the very, very beginning of his career and just be basically impossible to tackle, constantly breaking long runs, catching a ton of passes, and being the focal point of an offense that was cycling through quarterbacks to start the season, what else is there to say about Breece Hall? He is a star in the making, and he should be your Dynasty RB2, right? I will take him over CMC. I will take him over Jonathan Taylor. I'm obviously not going to take him over Bijan, but we're talking value, not just best running back in the round. Moving to the second round, right, we have Saquon Barkley, you have Jahmyr Gibbs, you have Austin Eckler. While I think I'm happy with any of the 3, I'm going to go ahead and take Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs as the RB6 right now, it may not be a value, but getting a first-round running back, right, that is just entering the NFL is one of the most valuable things you can have in Dynasty. There's so few running backs that get drafted in the first at this point that when you find one, you know they're almost guaranteed to hit, right? Excluding CEH, who never should have been a first-round pick. But when you look at Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a smash pick in Dynasty for years to come. DeAndre Swift, who this team did not like, really at all, was the RB16 in points per game. That feels like a floor outcome for Jahmyr Gibbs this year. He very well could put up a CMC-style rookie season. CMC only had 117 carries, but he had 113 targets. Jahmyr Gibbs may not get to 113 targets, which is just insane, right, and pushed CMC to be a top 10 running back as a rookie. But Jahmyr Gibbs should see 80 to 90 targets. He's that good of a pass catcher. They got absolutely clowned after the draft, so that means, I would think they're going to try to feature him and say, hey, look, we're not stupid. Look how good Jahmyr Gibbs is. That's a little bit of narrative, but I'm going to follow it. Jahmyr Gibbs as the RB6 is such a smash pick for me. Looking at the third round, things are getting interesting here, right? You have Travis Etienne, who I obviously love. You have Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard. Basically, a bunch of older running backs that are all, 24 to 27 years old on their second contracts or, right, in Etienne's case, fighting with a new rookie. You want to take production, but you also want to balance age here. And for me, it could be Josh Jacobs, it could be Najee Harris, but I am going to go with Tony Pollard. Right? Tony Pollard last season, obviously, coming off of an RB9 points per game finish, and he was splitting work with Zeke. That should not happen, right? Zeke's gone. I don't anticipate them bringing in a massive named running back. If anything, we should see a Tony Pollard, like the back half of the season rather than the first. The back half of the season, Tony Pollard was an absolute superstar. Put that cutoff at week 7. Basically, that is when he took over as the quote-unquote starter, at least by snap share. From week 7 to 18, right, when Tony Pollard is playing more than 50% of snaps, he averaged 19.1 points per game. That's with an 11.8% target share and a 41% rush share only. So basically, they started putting him on the field. They realized we need to get the ball in his hands. It doesn't matter, right? They're playing a lot of 2 running back sets. Tony Pollard was an absolute superstar. He was a top 5 running back over the back half of the season. Now, you have Malik Davis, Ronald Jones, and maybe another veteran they bring in. I expect his workload to stay very similar, right, to the back half of the season, maybe even an uptick in rushing work. Tony Pollard could be a top 3, top 2 running back in all of fantasy in 2023. And looking forward, wherever he ends up landing in 2024, whether it's with Dallas or with another team, he's going to get paid something. He's going to be paid to be a lead back. I mean, that's the expectation at least. So in the third round, it may be dicey because we don't know where he's playing next season, but the upside, the appeal, all of it is too interesting to say, I'm just going to pass on Tony Pollard. I am all in. Now, the fourth round, there's only three options here, right? You have Kenneth Walker, you have Rhamondre Stevenson, you have Javonte Williams. So when I'm looking at these three, who am I most excited about, at least this season, right? That's how I'm going to treat fourth, fifth round guys. That's Rhamondre Stevenson, right? Rhamondre Stevenson had a spectacular season last year, right? Finishing as a top 12 running back in points per game. He puts up a 17.3% target share. Really, Rhamondre Stevenson had all the work in the world, and he capitalized. And honestly, he was impressive beyond just volume stats, right? He was third in the NFL among running backs in forced missed tackles. He was sixth in yards created per touch. He's elusive as hell. He's catching a ton of passes, and he's in an offense that was willing to feed him. All of those things are great. Now, I did mention, right, the issue is he's with the Patriots. Does Bill Belichick go back to that committee backfield that we got so comfortable to seeing basically our entire lives, depending on how old you are? So let's break it down, right? What did he do when Damian Harris was healthy versus what did he do off the field? With Damian Harris on the field, right, for 11 games, he had 17.2 opportunities per game. That's fine. Like, that is more than fine to me. I am very, very okay with that kind of work. He did that and put up 14.8 points per game. He averaged 14.7 points per game on the season, and again, was a top 12 running back with that output. Now, when you look without Damian Harris, obviously, I prefer him without Damian Harris. If you get rid of the game where he left injured and only had 6 touches, Rhamondre Stevenson was an entirely different player, right? You're looking at 21 opportunities per game. The uptick in touches obviously came from the rushing work, right? He took basically a chunk of what Damian Harris had and just made that his own. And then, as far as production went, he averaged over 17 points per game. So obviously, if we have to pick between committee, no committee, we want Rhamondre Stevenson to be the featured back. But the takeaway is, even if he's not, he has enough receiving work. He's going to get enough of the rushing work. He's going to be good. He still has a very clear path to be a top 10 running back. So I'm fine taking Rhamondre Stevenson here in the fourth round. I get it's risky because it's a Patriots running back, but he's got 2 years left. That's how I'm going to be treating most running backs, right, in that 2-year window. And Rhamondre Stevenson is a smash, at least right now.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt this video, but I wanted to let y'all know about our YouTube memberships on this channel. If you want extra bonus content from Justin or myself, access to my prospect database for all rookies since 2001, access to our exclusive Discord channel, as well as badges and emojis, then check out the YouTube memberships using the link in the description down below. The bonus content tier is what you're looking for more DLF on YouTube. Thanks for checking it out, guys, and we'll get back to this amazing video.
Now, to close this out, guys, we have the fifth round, and there are 3 running backs being taken in the fifth round. You have J.K. Dobbins, who has injury concerns, who we don't know where he's going to play next year. He is there. You have Derrick Henry, who, it's Derrick Henry. This likely should be his last season of dominance, but betting against Derrick Henry has proven to be a very stupid idea, so Derrick Henry is there. And then you have DeAndre Swift, one of my favorite running backs, no longer in Detroit. They hate him. He now lands in Philly, probably splitting work, very unknown role with low pass volume. It's going to be interesting. For me, I'm going to go to J.K. Dobbins, right, coming off the board as RB16 right now. J.K. Dobbins, when healthy, is elite. He is a guy that has put up a 5.9 yards per carry, and yards per carry is not a great metric, but when you're averaging 5.9 yards a carry, it's worth noting. I'm going to pay attention to that. Like, that's Nick Chubb's level of efficiency, which is just all-time. It is otherworldly. The issue is, right, he's been injured consistently throughout his career at this point, but he closed out the season strong last year, and he's coming into this offseason fully healthy for the first time since his rookie year when he was the lead running back, to close out the season again. On top of that, Todd Monken is in, Greg Roman is out. Todd Monken led Nick Chubb to a career high in targets, his only season with 40-plus targets, and that's been the knock for J.K. Dobbins, right? This offense has not passed enough to really feed J.K. Dobbins a very capable and, I think productive pass catcher, but the volume just hasn't been there for it to actually pan out for, for fantasy purposes. If that uptick in passing occurs, there's not a ton of competition on this roster for third down work, right? He'll still fight with Gus Edwards to an extent, should he make the roster, for first and second down work. But J.K. Dobbins should be the lead back. He is very clearly the most skilled player in this backfield, I think by a wide margin. You're taking a risk in the fifth here. But I think you're doing that with all 3 of these running backs. For all we know, right, Derrick Henry could hit the wall this season. I'm in on Derrick Henry. I am buying in as a win-now team. So you may want to grab him here instead of J.K. Dobbins. Now, DeAndre Swift is interesting because we know he's talented, also has the injury concerns. but I think Dobbins has a better chance to sign a second contract with his current team, and I think that usually bodes a little bit better for guys, past this season. All right, guys, that is all we have for you. Again, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe, questions, comments, drop them down below. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.